I am Ray, and your negative thoughts are like a snake with no teeth. It might seem scary, but ultimately they are more afraid of you than you are of them. And here's why. Before we dive into the monster mind, I want to tell you about my own experience. That for the past few days these birds.
Unacceptable!
Sorry, the birds were making a ruckus. The past few days I have been experiencing some negative thoughts and fear. But at this point on my journey, I experience negative thoughts and fear and anxiety as a good thing. Whereas for most of my life, suffering. And the reason for that is that, well, there's always going to be negativity in life. But the question is, how well do you handle that negativity? When the fear arises, how well can you handle that fear? Or do you let it eat you? Or how about anxiety? Does anxiety prevent you from living the life you desire? And you see, what I've realized is that we cannot just continue living our lives with these things in the background, with negative thoughts bothering us all the time. And I realized that having a bit of fear, anxiety, and negative thoughts is a good thing, because for me, I now have the opportunity to manage and handle them better. Whereas for most of my daily life, I'm just happy and peaceful all the time. But when you're happy and peaceful all the time, you're just there. Life is great, of course, but these things motivate us to grow. The monster mind, which in the beginning appears as a great demon, implanting negative thoughts to feed off of our life force. When we change our attitude toward these things, they begin to help us rather than hurt us. And so whenever I feel a negative thought, or I feel a bit of fear or anxiety, especially in the morning, I don't get out of bed until I've dealt with it. And so this morning I was feeling some fear and some anxiety, and I didn't get out of bed until I sat with it, until I faced the fear, faced the negative thoughts, faced the anxiety. And rather than running away or trying to fight it, well, first I used my positive thoughts to cleanse the fear, like a magic wand. Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Saying those 4 affirmations is very cleansing. And so whenever we experience some fear, anxiety, negative thoughts, we can use the practice of Ho'oponopono, which is simply saying those 4 affirmations. But as you get familiar with thinking positive thoughts, you can come up with your own affirmations. And another powerful word is Christ. Because through Christ, all things are possible. But you can also purify yourself. Purify the negative thoughts. Purify the fear. And see, the reason that your negative thoughts are more afraid of you is because this monster mind, which evokes fear, anxiety, and negative thoughts within you, it is the source of these things. And you can look at it as a great demon, but the demons only have power in the darkness. And so when the light is cast upon them, what power does the darkness have in the presence of the light? When you shine the light upon your fear, anxiety, your negative thoughts, they cannot sustain themselves. They cannot survive. But when we fight and run away from the fear and the negative thoughts and the monster mind, what we resist persists. And so they get worse and worse and worse. It's not wrong to have fear. It's not wrong to have anxiety or negative thoughts. Where we screw ourselves over is getting entangled with this and accidentally continuing to feed it our energy. You see, positive thoughts are but one aspect of cleansing the darkness, using the light of Christ to heal ourselves, but also the light of your awareness, which means to be able to look your fear in the face, to be able to look at your negative thoughts without running away, without flinching. Because the moment you begin looking at that snake, you realize, oh, it doesn't have any teeth. Oh, wait a minute. A thought is just a thought. It has no power. The monster mind has no power at all. And so what I did is, well, I called upon the fear to arise. I called upon the anxiety and I called upon my negative thoughts to come forth. What do I mean? Instead of running away from these things, I ask them to come to me. Because once you know your power, once you realize the darkness cannot survive in the presence of the light, then you want the fear, the anxiety, the negative thoughts to be exposed to your awareness. You want them to come forward. You don't want them to keep lurking in the darkness, because that is where they have power. And so the moment you begin facing these things, they begin dissolving and they stop ruining your life. And so we have to take the time to sit with ourselves. Whereas most people, they seem to just allow it to go on in the background. I'm just going to go on my daily life, do things, while the fear, the anxiety, the negative thoughts pull you down like a big bag of rocks. And so in the morning, sit with yourself. Whenever you feel fear, anxiety, go and meditate and sit with yourself. Learn how to handle these things, because dark energy is the force of destruction. And so if you cannot wield this energy properly, it can destroy you and it can hurt others in the world. But the moment you master your fear, anxiety, negative thoughts, the force of darkness has no power over you. And once you learn how to transmute negativity into positivity, you're unstoppable. Because no matter what happens to you in life, you will always come out on top. But where people get destroyed, where their lives get ruined, there's two ways. They run away from the darkness and they fight it. They fight the monster mind, or they run away from it. And then the second way is that we get consumed by darkness and we embrace the monster mind, meaning we become evil. So the good people run away and try to fight it. The bad people become the monster. But you must do neither, my friend. You must face the beast. Like a big T-Rex, learn how to ride it. Even though it seems scary, you have all the power. As the spiritual teacher Muji once said, a thought has no power. You have all the power, but you give your power away to the thought from your identification and belief in the thought. Before I continue, my coffee has gotten cold, and that is unacceptable. It's lukewarm, actually. One of the things we have to understand about the monster mind, as we've begun to allude to, well, I'm sure you're wondering, what is the monster mind? I have not explained this yet, so you may be confused, scared even. Don't worry, I'm here. The monster mind is like a parasite. It has no power of its own. So it has to feed off your power, your energy, in order to survive. But there are rules to this game of life. And so the monster mind is also like a vampire. And a vampire and a parasite are kind of the same thing. But with a vampire, it has to ask for your permission in order to enter into your home. Therefore, not only does the monster mind have no power, but you have to freely allow it in, of your own free will. And if you do not freely give your energy away, it has no power. And if you want a simple definition of the monster mind, it's just all of the negative aspects of our mind. So the negative thoughts, negative ideas and beliefs, I'm not good enough, woe is me, being a victim. Everything in your mind that keeps you stuck, that keeps you in suffering, that is the monster mind. And when you start paying attention, you can see how most people, they're a slave to this thing. You see people who are so trapped in negativity, and they almost can never catch a break. Well, it's because they are being sucked on by this evil demon thing. Frightening, I know. So people become a slave to these negative thoughts, to these negative beliefs about who they are and about life. And little do they know, there's something pulling their strings in the background that doesn't want them to be free. So the monster mind says, I'm not good enough. It's just a thought that randomly pops into your head. But what you find is that the monster mind is only giving you an offer. You get to choose whether you believe in that thought or not. And because we don't know how to handle negativity, we don't know how to handle fear, anxiety, negative thoughts, we run away, or we fight the thought. We try to brute force the thought out of existence. But fighting our negative thoughts is like throwing punches in a dark room. The only thing you do is exhaust yourself. And all you have to do is turn on the lights, and the darkness is instantly dissolved. And so, the monster mind has to keep you in ignorance. It has to keep you stuck in illusion, in darkness, because that is the only place that the monster mind has any power. The monster mind fundamentally is an illusion. When I was experiencing negative thoughts for many years, it seemed like demonic attacks. That is how I experienced it. And in a way it was. But it was only that way because I was stuck in illusion, in ignorance. And well, the source of all evil is ignorance. Ignorance of the true nature of reality. But with awareness, with light, with truth, we become free from ignorance. We become free from illusion and darkness. Now the trick is, don't ever believe a single negative thought your mind says. Because why would you? 100% of the time, you have to put your foot down and say, no, I will not believe this. Because, well, if you're living in a negative experience, like a fire surrounding you, does it make any sense to continue throwing gasoline on the fire? No, you want the fire to go out. So you got to stop feeding the fire. Stop entertaining negative thoughts. Because the only reason our negative thoughts have any power is because we believe them. And much of this process is just a remembering. A remembering that, oh, that's textbook monster mind. Once we frame our negative thoughts in this way, every time we have one, oh, it's just the monster mind doing its thing. It's just trying to survive, make a living, like the rest of us. But what happens? We get caught in shame and guilt spirals. We resist the negativity and so make it worse. And guess what? There is no rule book that says you have to believe a single thing your mind tells you. Who told you that, huh? Was it the monster mind? I bet it was. Because the monster mind is also like a sleazy salesman. It knows all the right buttons to push to get you to buy the lies that it is selling. It will take a seed of truth and wrap it around with a bunch of lies to get you to bite. And so, metaphorically speaking, leave your wallet at home. Because the monster mind cannot sell you anything if you are not open for business. Which is why we say no 100% of the time. If you say no 99% of the time, it'll work its way inside. And you won't be able to help yourself. Oh, my wallet, my money, oh, my money, no! Because it knows your trauma, it knows your triggers, it knows all your weak points. But if we can take a step back, instead of running away from the monster mind, instead of fighting it, we look at it. So you kind of look at it. You can't really see that. And when you look at it, your light power begins dissolving it. And what once looked like a powerful demon is now just a little baby snake with no teeth. Sorry, I just dissolved your head. My bad. It's gold away. And so eventually your negative thoughts become like flies just buzzing around. Shoo, fly, don't bother me. I'm busy. But only if you learn how to deal with them. And you see, with meditation, where a lot of people experience problems, is that they're not ready to face those demons. But I'm here to tell you, once you stop believing in your thoughts, it's much easier to face them. Because you realize the only reason there is fear or shame or guilt is because you're reacting to your negative thoughts negatively. And when you stop reacting to them, the fear, the shame, the guilt stops. It is through our reactions that are creating all the suffering. And through meditation, we learn the power of non-reaction. Through the art of observation. So we sit with ourselves and we allow whatever fear, whatever anxiety, whatever negative thoughts, we allow it to arise. And then we just look at it like a scientist with a magnifying glass. Approach this from a sense of curiosity. What does fear actually feel like? What does anxiety feel like? What do those negative thoughts look like? Yes, they may be disturbing at first, but you have to become familiar with them. Desensitize yourself to them, and they won't create such strong reactions from you. The more you look at your thoughts and your fear and your anxiety, the light of your awareness begins dissolving them. But because we run away or fight, our awareness is all over the place. We need focus, meditation. So I encourage you, every time you feel fear or anxiety or are struggling with negative thoughts, if you can, take the time to sit alone with yourself and practice sitting with these difficult emotions, with these difficult thoughts. They're not just going to go away by themselves. You have to deal with them. I remember one time I was cooking rice, and some rice fell on the floor, or some food or something. And in that moment, I thought about kicking it under the stove. I don't want to deal with this. But then I thought about it for another moment. If I picked up that food right now, it would be gone. Never have to think about it again. But if I kicked it under the stove, it would sit there for months. It took me 15 seconds to pick it up, and the problem was gone forever. The point is, deal with the problem so you don't have to deal with it anymore. Because no matter what you do, if you have fear, anxiety, negative thoughts going on in the background of your life, it's going to pull you down. It's going to ruin your life, like holding a big bag of rocks. Let go of the rocks, please. Take the time to work your own baggage out. Because at the end of the day, doesn't matter how many vacations you try to take, you're always stuck with yourself. But the moment you fix yourself, the moment you heal your body, you heal the trauma, you deal with it. You learn how to live inside this body. You learn to be comfortable inside your own skin. Then it doesn't matter so much what happens in the world, because you're always okay with yourself. But if you're not okay with yourself, it also doesn't matter what happens. You'll always be miserable. I am Ray. Visit my cool store. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.